Hey guys, welcome back to Susie on the Farm. I'm your host, and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. In today's episode, I have 4 fun thrift store makeovers. For project number 1, I picked up this collage frame a while back. I'm drawn to anything cross-stitched. I love it, and these hummingbirds were so gorgeous. I had 6 to choose from, so I took them all out of the frames. I'm not sure which ones I'm going to use in this project just yet, but I also had these 2 matching shadow box frames that I thought would be a good thing to use in this makeover. So here I'm just looking through the hummingbirds, trying to decide which one I want to use. I know this is not necessarily a fall project, but hummingbirds, they're just so beautiful. To embellish these, I'm going to use the Frames 2 mold, and I'm going to use air dry clay, but first I'm going to dust the entire mold with some cornstarch. That just helps it come out easier. And I'm just going to do that outside layer. I am actually trying to make a frame for our cross-stitched hummingbird. So all of the IOD molds have this neat little micro rim that makes it real easy just to rub your finger along the edges to get off any of the excess. So that's what I'm doing here. And I'm going to go all the way around, and then I will just flip it over and let gravity help me remove it. Now, it's okay if we get somewhere we don't need it. I'm going to come back and trim all that excess off so we just have the frame. And I'm going to do another one exactly the same as this one. And then for the back of the frames, I'm going to decoupage some music notes on them. So I'm just going to remove these from the frame. I don't know if I'm even going to reuse the glass at this point, and then I broke one of them. So now I know that I'm definitely not going to reuse the glass. Since I am going to be decoupaging, I'm going to do it directly over this backing, and I want to start with a light color base just to help the decoupage paper images pop. So I'm going to go ahead and paint both of these. I'm just going to probably do 1 coat. It doesn't have to be perfect. Oh, I did end up doing 2 on these to cover those black marks. And now I'm going to use the Fusion Decoupage and Transfer Gel to put these music notes on here. These are from, I believe the paper is called Industrial Projects Blocks. I had used part of it on something else, and I still had the music notes. So what I like to do is just put a starter strip of the transfer gel down and then use my brush to smooth out any wrinkles on the rest of the paper. This being a flat surface, it was extremely easy to decoupage without any wrinkles. I'll lift and rub a little bit until I get all the wrinkles smoothed out. I'm going to go ahead and do both of these and let them dry completely. And then once they are dry, I will use my little finger sander to come back and sand off all of the edges. Just be sure that you sand in a downward motion so you don't lift your paper up, and they usually come off really easy this way. To embellish the frames mold that I made, I am going to paint them with Little Black Dress. The molds are still really wet here, so I'm having to be very careful. I don't want to mess up any of those details, but I didn't have the time nor the patience to wait until they were dry to paint them. And I like to paint my molds when they're wet anyway, when I'm using air dry clay, just to slow down the drying process just a little bit so it eliminates any cracking or any major shrinking. I did have to get a little soft detail bristle brush to get into all of those details. And then I got these both painted up. I let them dry, the paint dry on them, and then I just felt like all of that beautiful detail was just hidden behind that black paint. So I did take a little bit of maybe this is letterpress gray, I think. And I just dry brushed over the top of the black paint just to highlight all those gorgeous details a little bit in the molds. Once I did that, I did seal them with Big Top, and I let them dry overnight, and then I just glued them onto the backing of the shadow box, and these Hummingbird frames turned out so beautiful, and I still have 4 more that I can use in different projects. Project number 2 is another cross stitch masterpiece. This one's really old. You can see that there is some worn there. I am hoping that when I get this out, I'll be able to reposition it a little bit where you can't see so much of that worn area. And the tape on the back was just falling apart, and I got all the nails loose and got it out from the frame, and it was stuck down onto the backer board, but I was able to pull it off and reposition it just the right amount where some of that worn on the side did not show. But isn't this just beautiful? I took it over to my new DIY paints, and I picked out a color that I thought would match, and I'm going with a dark deep burgundy color called Cherry Picked. And it looks so good with this beautiful embroidered cross stitch. So I'm just going to give the entire frame 2 coats of the cherry picked paint. And then once it is dried, I'm going to come back with a clear wax and seal it. I did use the Fusion Clear Wax because I had one open. I have not opened any of the DIY wax yet, and I know that it is so buttery smooth. But I did not intend to distress this frame originally, but when I started putting the wax on, I had some distressing happen, probably because this was a plastic frame and I had just painted it and dried it with a heating gun. It wasn't cured good enough. But as I was going and I wiped back the wax, I decided that I did like the distressing, so I went ahead and embraced that. Even though it wasn't meant to be, sometimes the accidents are happy. After I got the clear wax on, I did feel like a few of those details on the outside of the frame got lost. And so I used some of the aging wax and went over the entire thing with that just to maybe highlight some of those edges and distress it just a little bit more. And this is so gorgeous. This was the absolute perfect color for this beautiful floral cross stitch inside this frame. I had to move around the shop a little bit to find a place where I didn't have any glare in the glass, but you just can't, it's not as pretty in pictures as it is in person. Project number 3 is something I've been thinking about doing for a while now, and I finally got the chance. Do y'all remember I picked up these brass offering plates a while back? I think I paid 99 cents for each of them. I picked them up because they're brass, but they're just not in great shape. So I am going to paint them. I'm going to be using DIY weathered wood. And I did one coat, and I'm thinking, this is like doing nothing. Maybe I'm not going to be able to paint these. But I went ahead and I painted them and let them dry. And then when I came back and did the second coat, it was so beautiful. This weathered wood really and truly looks like weathered wood. I was actually very amazed. So I got them all painted up. I did not paint the circle on the bottom because my plan is to put them on like a riser. So I did two coats on the outside and the inside, and I did seal them with Big Top. And to finish these off, I had made some candlesticks. They were mismatched, but I painted them to look the same, and I painted them with the fusion metallic and copper, and then I put the aging wax over them, and they looked really good, but they never did sell. So I thought that they would be perfect to put with these bowls to make a little bit of a riser. So I got everything painted and dried, and to glue them together, I am going to use my Type Bond Quick and Thick. I'm just going to put a good healthy layer of it onto the candlestick bases and then glue them in the center on the bottom. And if I have any glue that leaks out, I'm going to take a baby wipe and clean that up, and then I'm going to leave these alone overnight and let them dry completely. And honestly, that is all there is to this project. It looks so cool, and these are just a perfect addition to your home decor. I love sitting things in bowls like this. You can do bowl fillers. I love to put floral in them, and I'll show you what I put in this one here in just a second. I've had several people mention how pretty my florals are, and I put one of these half spears in this bowl, and I love using these. I have a bunch of these throughout the store, and if y'all are interested in that, I've never thought about listing my wholesale florals online, but I can do that if these are something they're interested in. These spears are $10.99, so y'all let me know in the comments below if y'all would like to buy some of the florals that you see me stage my products with. For today's final project, I think that I am most excited about this one. I have had a box of these foam pumpkins in my stash here and there. I just throw them in it. These are good little bowl fillers, but these had gotten to looking pretty rough. So I'm going to do a makeover with all of these and just get them out of my stash. So I chose to paint a bunch of different colors, and that first two I did with weathered wood. I had it right there from another project that I just finished, and then I am using Summer Crush on a few of them. Y'all, this is a perfect fall orange. It's so soft and pretty. This one is faded burlap because I wanted some light color ones as well. And then I think I'm going to use Farm Fresh and Mint Chip and get all these painted up. I'm going to do 2 coats on all of them, and then I'm going to seal them all up with Big Top. And once they are sealed and dried, I am going to come back and go over them with the aging wax just to highlight all of the details in the pumpkin. Some of them had some glitter on them. Some of them had some bumps. They're just random pumpkins. I pulled out all of the plastic stems on all of them. Once I get them all painted and sealed and the sealer's dry, I'm going to come back with the aging wax. This is the Fusion Aging Wax. And I'm going to go over all the pumpkins and just age them up just a little bit. It highlights all of the details in the pumpkins and just really makes them look a little older and a little bit more high-end. Now that the pumpkins are all painted and sealed and waxed, we're going to move on to the embellishments. And I've got tons of these little wooden tags, and I'm going to start using them in lots of projects. These are just a natural wood, and I'm going to age them with the antiquing glaze from Fusion. I'm just going to put it on and then rub it back off, and it leaves a really cool age finish on these natural wood tags. I got out my apothecary label stamps because these letters are small enough to fit on these little tags, and I'm spelling out the word fall. I'm going to stamp all 4 of these and then put another little embellishment on there from the same stamp set. I'm using a thin mount to pick up the letters. I'm stamping it with IOD black permanent ink, and I'm just going to do all of them randomly in different directions, and I'll have to go back and put the L on all of them. Y'all don't forget, you can get all the products that I use in my thrift store makeovers on my website, susieonthefarm.com. I have the Fusion paint, Roycycle decoupage paper, IOD, and now the DIY paints as well, if you're looking to get some of those. Once I get all of these stamped, then we're going to move on back to the pumpkins. And I'm basically going to stack these. I make these every year, and every year they sell. And it takes just a bunch of foam pumpkins. I'm just going to hot glue them, stack them together, and then I'm going to hot glue some Spanish moss around them, and also put the cute little tag on there. And then finally, to finish them off, went outside and I grabbed a stick to make a stem, and I hot glued that in the hole and also put a little bit more Spanish moss on there. I finished up all 4 of these and only had about 15 hot glue burns on my fingers because apparently I enjoy the pain. Thank y'all so much for watching today's video. I hope that you have enjoyed these thrift store makeovers. I do videos every Wednesday night at 6 and Friday night at 6. Y'all let me know in the comments when would be a good time if you wanted to join in on a live. When would be a good time for me to have scheduled live videos for y'all. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again on Wednesday.